Ahmed SHAHAADO spent 4 years in this prison in appalling conditions, and all for criticizing the regional administration. It's a place he comes back to with great reluctance.
The
4 years I spent here were the darkest in my life. Most of them were spent in this room, which was overcrowded with inmates. We were beaten and tortured several times every day.
The former regional president, Abdi Mohammed, is accused of using JIGJIGA Central Prison, also known as Jail Ogaden, to dump his opponents. He used the hated Liu police force he set up to arrest and then torture the inmates. Human Rights Watch says rape and murder were routine. Former inmates showed us the tiny rooms where they were held and where most of the torture took place. They were forced to sit, they say, in raw sewage, sometimes for days in these underground bunkers. 25-year-old JUNEID Mohammed was held at the prison for 8 years. Doctors have told him he will never walk again because of a severe spinal injury.
I
was arrested while herding camels and within days was sentenced to life imprisonment. Then the torture began. They would hang me from the ceiling and beat the soles of my feet and back with sticks and plastic pipes. They broke my spine, but that didn't stop them from continuing to torture me.
The jail also had a women's wing where former inmates say rape was an intrinsic tool of torture. MAALIM was held here for 10 years.
They will call for some of the girls in the middle of the night, only for them to come back to the cell, shaking, shivering and crying. We knew what was going on. It was rape.
Former inmates describe seeing people dying in their cells, sometimes in their dozens, due to the non-stop torture and abuse that went on at the jail. They say there was little oversight or scrutiny during the decade the former president was in power. The former president is now in jail in the capital Addis Ababa and facing charges for crimes committed while in office. The region's new president, a former employee of the United Nations, closed the prison a few months ago as part of a package of changes.
This was a systemic problem, and most of the people who also committed these crimes have in some ways were in some ways victims themselves. Low-level police officers were told to do this. That's not to excuse what they have done, but the point is we don't want to spend our time chasing these low-level officers. But at the highest level, people who are responsible, including the president of the region, are now in detention.
The plan now is to turn the prison into a museum. But even before that happens, people have been flocking here to see for themselves a facility that's become a symbol for one of the darkest periods of the region's history. Mohammed Adow, Al Jazeera, JIGJIGA, Ethiopia.